Hi, my name's Susanna Hamner, and I'm here with Rodney Gibbs, a famous video game developer and entrepreneur. And we are here to talk about the new world of gaming. So Rodney, what is the state of the gaming market in Austin?
Well, it's changed quite a bit. Because historically, Austin, thanks to Richard Garriott, whom I think you're familiar with, Austin historically had been a really big MMO town, massive multiplayer town. And that really dates back to Richard starting Origin Systems, and it spawned all these other companies like that. And for years, that was what defined Austin. But in the last many years, it's really broadened quite a bit, which I think has been good for the economy, good for the development community. And that's been helped by the rise of digital downloads, by mobile phones, by handheld games. So it's really diversified quite a bit. So now we have a lot of social games going on, a lot of mobile games. And we still have deep roots with our big, massive multiplayer companies, which could be big 200, 300, 400 person companies. Mm-hmm. But you've also got a lot of these small startups that might be 2 people, 5 people, 10 people. Right. And fascinating thing is that they can actually be viable. They can be competitive. Right. Whereas in years past, you couldn't have a little company and get the product out in the Walmarts and the Targets on Amazon. It was really tough. You needed a big publisher behind you. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, you can have a couple folks make a good game, and it's still an uphill climb, but at least you can get it on the iTunes Store, on the Android market, and get some people looking at it and actually get in people's hands.
Mm-hmm. And so what is the major platform that most of the developers are working on?
Well, I don't know if there is a dominant one anymore. It's really across the board. It used to be PC and consoles, Xbox and PlayStation, but that's really diversified a lot. Mobile games and cell phone games have really changed that. Mm-hmm. Apple gives Nintendo a huge run for the money now. And what we see here in Austin is the rise of a lot of interesting success stories, like challenge games that's doing all social games. They got acquired by Zynga a few months ago. Gowalla, which isn't a game per se, but it certainly has game-like features, but it combines location and how you move about your world with game-like aspects and lures in it. So that it's really all over the map. And kind of the fascinating thing as well is that the games are largely for entertainment, but they're really seeping into what we historically would call more serious things, be it biomedical research, military simulations and training, all sorts of things that historically have been viewed as a very adult, serious thing, are getting game-like attributes, be it rich graphics, be it interactivity, be it social aspects, or you interact or play with friends. But it's for a serious purpose. It's for broccoli-like purposes instead of ice cream purposes. But right. On the development side, it's all the same to us.
And so, are you seeing that in Austin?
Sure. There's a big military simulation development going on here. There's people doing all sorts of stuff with visualization, which is a kind of a fancy word for video games in some ways, just like really high-end ways to visualize big data, big complex issues, but with ways that are graphical and use the same people that we might use in video games. That might be graphic programmers, artists, interface, user experience designers and experts. So the lines have blurred quite a bit, which, a few years ago, you said, I make video games, and people would say, oh, well, you make stuff for kids, that's nice. Or, right. But now that, that's certainly has broadened quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the games that you develop, they are socially based and location based. Can you elaborate a bit?
At Ricochet Labs, we make location-based products that are for really have kind of 3 components. They're social, mobile, and geo. So social meaning that they're fun and addictive, and you're compelled because it's good gameplay design to share it with your friends. It's mobile because most of our platforms are mobile devices, so smartphones mostly. And then it's geo because the location matters. So it's using that GPS in the smartphone to really customize and tailor your experience depending on where you are. So if you played the game here in this room, you would have one experience. You could walk across the street and fire up the same application, but it could be completely different content. Maybe different questions, different results, different challenges. Just by virtue of I'm moving around the world, as we all do every day, it kind of gives you this compulsion to, let me check in because there's going to be something new and different for me. I could be in a movie theater and get all movie content. I could be at a sports bar and get all sports content. I could be in this city versus that city and get content based on where I am, what I'm next to, what I'm seeing.
And so you're involved heavily in the arts industry here. And so can you talk about the synergies of gaming, film, and music, since Austin is known to be the capital music of the world?
Yeah, that's another way the lines have really blurred. So, 10 years ago or so, there were pretty distinct camps. You're in the film business, you're in the game business, you're in the web business, and they didn't interact too much. That's changed quite a bit. And I think some of the reasons are structural, that people like Bob Hudgens, who runs the Texas Film Commission, which is there as part of the governor's office to help promote and encourage production. He's seen the light and really preached a great game that, we're all interrelated. People who now work on a video game might have worked on a movie 6 months ago. People who are working on a video game now might go over and work on a Robert Rodriguez film. Because the skill sets are really similar. The people who are doing Sin City for Robert with motion graphics and green screen work are a lot of those guys are the same guys that worked for a Microsoft or a Sony doing video game work. And so we're realizing that the real crucial part for Austin and Texas is to grow the talent pool. And the way we do that is not by saying, well, you're in this silo, and if that industry hurts or has a downturn, then well, good luck, go back to California. But it's to say, like, you can grow here, and if you have a downturn in your film industry, maybe the game industry has opportunity for you, or vice versa.
Right. So if I was a local gamer and I wanted to know the key components of creating a successful game, what would you say they are?
Be a little crazy and not need much sleep would be good. It'd be assembling a great team. Is first and foremost, because it's all about the team. The idea is super important, but the team is what's most important. I would say identifying a need in the market for that game. A lot of people I've worked with and I know well have a good idea, but it's been done, and they're going to do it better, and I believe they will, and they have a little different take on it. But it's tough to say I'm going to do what Microsoft did, but I'm going to do it 10% better.
Right.
Because Microsoft's been there, and they've got a lot more advantages over me sitting in my my office or my bedroom here in Austin working on something.
So it has to be completely original.
Well, completely original, or maybe just putting together interesting components that haven't been put together before. Maybe they're not all original components, but no one's thought to put them together quite in that way. I like to think we're doing that with Crank, and that we took we came from a Nintendo style background doing handheld games. And so we thought, how can we take those Nintendo type experiences that are rich, they're addictive, they're social, they're easy to pick up for grandma down to grandkid, and apply that to some of this cool techie stuff that was going on, still going on with check-ins, with location. And so, but make it so it's not just the early adopters and the geeks like me who like it, but actually, grandma or anybody can pick it up and do it. So I don't think we had any revolutionary ideas independently with those. Those have been done, but putting them together in kind of a new way is a new thing, and it opens a new market for us. And so that can happen in console games, and Richard is trying to do that. Richard Garriott with what he's doing on browser and mobile games. So that's a big part. And then I think the third most important thing is the idea, and not to diminish the idea, but I think that's something developers don't always realize, is that really the team and the market are what's going to drive your success. Particularly in the early stages, the idea has to be solid, but you could have a fantastic idea, and if you don't have the team, or if it's not needed in the market, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Rodney. I really appreciate it. And you can see Rodney on November 9th at the AT&T Conference Center with the Rice Alliance hosted panel, The New World of Gaming. Thank you.